Today is the Wednesday, the 8th of October. And if you're watching this for the first ever time, then we spend the next hour going through everything that is currently going on in the world of AI from the previous day over the last 24 hours to try and bridge the gap between what everybody knows is possible with AI and what is currently possible. Because the internet moves really fast, AI moves really fast too, and there's a bit of a knowledge gap going on out there. So we're going to try and cover as much as possible in the next hour. And we've got a load to cover today. So without further ado, let's jump in to the top story of the day. Now, if you're in the EU, this is good because often the EU kind of lags behind the US when it comes to investment in AI and regulation and startups and all that good stuff. So we've got a positive news story to kick off the day from the EU, and it is this. It's from Reuters. The EU rolls out a $1.1 billion plan to ramp up AI in key industries amid sovereignty drive. Here is the main story. The European Commission on Wednesday announced a €1 billion plan to ramp up the use of AI in key industries amid a push to cut the European Union's reliance on US and Chinese technologies. Again, this is going to be AI labs based in the US, and then it's going to be open source models in China. And then in the EU, we're kind of in the middle where we haven't really got too much to ourselves, mainly around things like Mistral. We've got that. But apart from that, it kind of falls short. So we're looking to decouple from that with this new investment. The EU executives' Apply AI strategy followed an action plan unveiled in April, which seeks to lighten the regulatory burden and costs for startups struggling to comply with landmark AI rules, which entered into force in August last year. They're talking about the EU AI Act, which is basically a really long piece of regulation as to what you can and can't do. And it's basically muddied the waters for startups and businesses, which has kind of stifled innovation a bit, and it's tricky to adhere to. So this is a kind of an effort to, I don't know, make that a bit easier for people. The move also underscores Europe's goal of achieving strategic autonomy in key sectors amid trade tensions with the US and China and the dominance of US big tech. I want the future of AI to be made in Europe, Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said in a statement. AI adoption needs to be widespread. With the strategies, we will help speed up the process. We will drive this AI-first mindset across all of our key sectors, from robotics to healthcare, energy, and automotive. That's good. And that is a good thing to say. I think we just need to bring down the amount of compliance and regulation that companies in the EU have to do. There's another initiative going on called EU Inc., which we can cover in a minute, which is going to help with this too. But let's just finish off this story. The Commission singled out healthcare, pharmaceuticals, energy, mobility, manufacturing, construction, agri-food, defense, communications, and culture as critical sectors that should use more AI. I think it's pretty much every single sector they've mentioned there. And the sector-specific measures under the Apply AI strategy include setting up a network of AI-powered advanced screening centers in healthcare and developing agentic AI manufacturing, climate, and pharmaceutical industries. Okay. Here's where the 1 billion is going to come from, because you're probably wondering that. It will come from the EU research projects such as Horizon Europe and the Digital Europe program, which may encourage EU countries and private sector to provide matching funds, the Commission said. Okay, that's looking good so far. This is the actual announcement page on the EU Commission's website. It says, keeping the European industry and science at the forefront of AI. It's just a quick 2-minute read if you wanted to read it, but it basically outlines how this is going to help. And it goes on to say about this particular Apply AI strategy, which it has just released. And this sets out how to speed up the use of AI in key industries and the public sector by accelerating time to market, strengthening the EU workforce, to be AI ready across sectors. This is going to do with AI training and bringing together Europe's AI actors through a new frontier AI initiative. Okay, so this goes alongside their recent AI and science strategy too, which focuses on putting the EU at the forefront of AI-driven research. And these two together will hopefully bolster the EU's effort to bringing more sovereign AI into Europe rather than having to rely on these big AI labs elsewhere, which kind of, you lose a bit of control when that happens. Now, if you actually wanted to read the whole AI strategy, you can actually do so. It's posted up on this link. You can find it on this page at the Commission, European Commission. But here it is, the Apply AI strategy. It's got the full action plan, and you can actually download it and all of its annexes here at digital-strategy.eu.europa.eu. Very easy one to remember, but I'll link it up below wherever you're watching this video. But yeah, that's good. We like to see more AI stuff happening in Europe because sometimes you can feel a bit left out, especially as this is talking about things like AI training and upskilling staff and all that good stuff. There is actually one of our partners of this stream called Go9X actually does provide a lot of AI training. So if you're looking to upskill your team members with new skills, new ideas for workflows, and how you can bring AI into your company and become an AI first business, and you can go to 9x.com, work with these guys, and they'll help you upskill all of your team. Okay, next story. OpenAI, Anthropic eye investor funds to settle AI lawsuits. The FT reports. Now, this isn't great. We've mentioned on this stream before a number of times that when these new AI models go rampant across the internet, they suck up a whole load of data, they train on that data, and then they often produce copyrighted material. So let's say if you used Sora recently to create Darth Vader in a scene, that's actually using copyrighted material which hasn't actually been approved or licensed to OpenAI to create. And then this causes a lot of lawsuits. There's multiple going on at the moment. And it looks like they might have to bring in some extra investor funds to settle these lawsuits. Here's a story from Reuters. So the FT reported it originally, and this is on Reuters. So they're exploring the use of investor funds to settle potential multi-billion-dollar lawsuits, the FT reports on Wednesday. Copyright owners have launched a series of high-stakes lawsuits against tech firms, including OpenAI, Microsoft, and Meta, alleging unauthorized use of their material to train AI systems. Okay, so basically, like we said before, AI crawls the whole internet. It trains on images, videos, video games, text, anything it can get its hands on, and then it can reproduce those images. And now the quality has gone up so much that they are, in effect, identical to the material that they were trained on. So it might be time to pay up. OpenAI, which is tapped Aon, has secured coverage of up to $300 million for emerging AI risks, the report said, citing people familiar with the company's policy. Okay, so this is an insurance against being sued. So they're kind of preempting the fact they're going to have to pay out some money. It goes on to say, however, another person disputing this figure, claiming it was significantly lower, the newspaper said, adding that all agreed the coverage falls far short of what is needed to protect against potential losses from a series of multi-billion-dollar legal claims. Yeah, it's not going to be cheap. Kevin Kalinich, head of cyber risk at Aon, told the newspapers that the insurance sector broadly lacks enough capacity for model providers. They haven't got enough money. OpenAI has considered self-insurance by setting aside investor funding, with discussions about establishing a ring-fenced insurance vehicle used by large companies to manage emerging risks, the report said. I love how they call it emerging risks. I mean, it's not really emerging, is it? If you are training your models on the entire internet, that risk didn't emerge. That was a risk from day one, which they willingly took. And now at some point, they're going to have to pay up. OpenAI, Anthropic, and Aon did not immediately respond to Reuters' request for comment, and Reuters could not immediately verify the report. Last month, a federal judge in California awarded a landmark $1.5 billion settlement of a copyright class action brought by a group of authors against Anthropic. So that's one use case. That's 1.5 billion to cover one particular use case, and that was Anthropic and authors. I don't know authors of what type of content, but Sora 2, they're now getting, Midjourney's getting sued by, I think, Disney. We've got Warner Brothers in there as well. It's going to get expensive, probably to the tune of the multi-billion-dollar figure. Okay, EU Inc. This is what I said would be good for the European Union. This is an initiative which was actually founded by a number of people on X, actually. I think it got momentum on X. And it looks like it's going to be gathering steam. So I wanted to just share this in relation to the previous story we talked about. It's actually going through the Commission now. I just wanted to outline exactly what it is. Basically, if we're going to be unifying EU and the EU startup ecosystem to encourage investment, encourage more people to build companies, etc., we need to create a pan-European solution to help people, that helps people and startups operate under. So here is what they are proposing. One new pan-European legal entity, a central EU-level registry, standardized investment documents, standardized EU-wide stock options, local taxes and employment for every founder. They're already working with Brussels, and this is actually looking like it's going to become a reality. It's got through a number of stages already. It's been discussed. It looks like it might actually be coming slowly a reality. I am not sure exactly what the next steps are with this. Let me just see if this how you can help section is done. You got a lot of momentum online. This is, yeah, I think this is recently closed, but yeah, it's getting some traction. Hopefully we can unite the EU with some sovereign AI and a single entity of which to operate under. Let's drop the regulations a bit, and then the EU can start competing on the AI stage a bit more. Elon Musk's xAI nears a $20 billion capital raise tied to NVIDIA chips. Of course, Bloomberg News reports. OpenAI's xAI startup is raising more financing than initially planned, including an equity investment from NVIDIA to bring its ongoing funding round to $20 billion. Bloomberg News reports on Tuesday. NVIDIA is investing as much as $2 billion in the equity portion of the deal, adding that the financing, which includes equity and debt, will be tied to the NVIDIA graphics processing units that xAI plans to use inside its data center Colossus 2. So Colossus 2 is earmarked to be the biggest ever data center built. Just outlines the whole demand for compute isn't slowing down. I know Greg Brockman, the co-founder of OpenAI, recently in San Francisco Tech Week said they are compute constrained currently, and it's actually restricting them and stopping them from launching new products. And looks like xAI see that too. The financing would be split about 7.5 billion of equity and as much as 12.5 billion of debt, and is structured through a SPV, special purpose vehicle, that will be used to buy NVIDIA processors, the report said. NVIDIA declined to comment, and Elon added in September that xAI was raising 10 billion, post money at 200 billion, but now it's going to be raising more capital. It looks like it'll be up to 20 billion. NVIDIA seems to be the main winner in all of these deals. There was another video which is in relation to this, which I wanted to play about this whole acquiring or investing and announcing and these deals, which kind of go in a circle, which we're going to see in the diagram in a minute. But there was a clip here from Bloomberg Tech with the AMD CEO, and it explains just how this chip deal is working. Let me just make sure I can share the audio with you, because it's definitely worth a listen here. Okay, here we go.
Is very clear, but for AMD and the AI industry at large, what do you think this represents?
Well, look, this is a huge milestone for AMD. You know, we are so thrilled with the partnership with the OpenAI team. And it's also, a huge moment for the AI industry because, when you get to the right down to it, you need more AI compute. I mean, that's where we are today. Compute is the foundation for all of the intelligence we can get from AI. And, we are a compute provider. We have spent years on our roadmap. We've spent years working with OpenAI and the team. And, together now we're embarking on, a massive build out of 6 gigawatts of AI compute. And it's a big deal for us, for our shareholders, for our teams, and for really, the partnership and the overall AI ecosystem.
Greg, I said at the top, the focus is inference. I think that's really important to be specific about what you will do with this capacity. So literally explain that part. And I'm conscious that, in the first instance, the first target is 1 gigawatt and then eventually 6 gigawatts. But what will you use it for?
Well, I think that the world continues to underestimate the amount of demand for AI compute, right? That just we've seen this explosion of demand with things like ChatGPT. We're at 800 million weekly active users now. This product didn't even exist 3 years ago, and we're in a position where we cannot launch features, we cannot launch new products simply because of lack of computational power. And we see these models continuing to get exponentially better. And I think we're just heading to a world where so much of the economy is going to be lifted up and driven by progress in AI. And so we're very much heading to a world by default that I think looks like a compute desert, right? That there's just not enough compute to go around. And so we're trying to build as much as possible, as quickly as possible. So we're starting with 1 gigawatt simply because you got to start somewhere.
Right.
But honestly, we're building as fast as we possibly can and trying to bring as much computational power to bear for the economy and for the world.
Okay, interesting clip. Obviously, you've got AMD deal, which the deal happened, I think, yesterday. It was announced where AMD had signed a deal with OpenAI to deploy up to 6 gigawatts. And now, obviously, they're getting chips from both NVIDIA and AMD to build out and to grow the capacity of OpenAI because the demand is so big. And this is to deploy 6 gigawatts of AI chips over multiple years in a deal that could generate tens of billions of revenue. And as Greg said there, they actually constrained. They can't actually launch new features because they actually don't have enough compute currently. So everything is trying to be pushed as fast as possible. Okay, next story that I have for you. Let me just change. I think we actually want to listen to this one also. There's an interview with Sam Altman by Rowan, who is the founder of The Rundown. And there's a really interesting piece in here as to how the AIs are capable to run at the moment. And we've moved from ChatGPT, where you just input a message into a box and you get a message back, or you get an image back, or you create a video. That's all good. That's probably what the majority of people are using it for currently. But we're now moving towards a world where you have agents. So these are basically AIs with tools that they can use. They can interact with pieces of software. They can surf the web. They can take actions. They can write emails, whatever it is. Now they can do this in a loop. So if you give it a task, it will go off, it will do something. It will check back in with itself. If it needs to use a different tool, then it will keep going around in loops. It will go off for as long as it needs. Now there is obviously a limit to this, which you're going to see in a minute. Go off for as long as it needs to try and complete that task, as long as you've got enough tokens, and it can run without running into an error. Now, this is a really good quote from Rowan about agents and how long they can potentially run.
But 2025 was supposed to be the year of agents. We've seen some agent products that work okay, but they still need pretty significant human oversight and they need feedback. When will we get the agents that can just work for a week without any feedback?
I don't think Codex is that far away from a week of work, which again, crazy thing to say. Like probably not a 2025 thing, but I was talking to some people today and they're like, I can't believe that it's doing like day-long tasks now. Like, how did that happen so quickly? And it does feel to me like not often does AI progress feel disorientingly fast to me, but that watching the rate of improvement in the length of a task Codex can do has felt like one of those times. And I would guess week-long tasks are not super far away.
What are the technical bottlenecks in order to get there?
Smarter models, long context, better memory.
Okay, so you have agents, all these model upgrades, Codex, you have Story API now. It seems like there's so much you can build. If you went back in time.
That was basically the clip I wanted to show you. This interview is great. You should definitely go and listen to all. Shout out to Rowan, absolutely crushed it. But Sam is saying he's even surprised by the pace that AI is moving, and he goes on to share his thoughts about it and about what you should build. But the key bit there is now they're seeing Codex, which is their agent, actually being able to almost work up to a week long on a task. So the simple version is, if you went build me this business, build me this app, or build me this business, or build me this business and app, it will just go off and it can work for up to a week to accomplish what you asked it to do without you needing to intervene at all. There was another product from Replit, Agent 3, for instance, that can now build apps, and it can run for multiple hours, up to a day. Again, this is going to take leaps forward over the next few months. I'm 100% sure, but they're saying Codex can run almost up to a week. That's nuts. Imagine just setting it and then going away, coming back a week later, and you just get a notification. Oh, by the way, you know, that business I built for you is now up and running and we're earning cash. So crazy. Up to a week long is going to be here very, very soon. Okay, if you're someone who's creative and you want to try out a really high-end tool for actually creating images and videos, maybe you want to clone yourself and put you into those images and videos, then I recommend using Let's. It's the best platform to create what you love with natural language, with in-app editing with natural language too. Go over to Let's.io. They proudly sponsor this stream, and I think you'll love the tool. There's a tweet here from Jamie Dimon. I thought it was a very interesting stat. He says this, or not from Jamie Dimon, sorry. It's Andrew Current about something that Jamie Dimon said. Jamie Dimon told Bloomberg that JP Morgan has now reached AI equilibrium. JPM spends $2 billion a year on developing artificial intelligence technology and saves about the same amount annually. Their plan is to gain first mover advantage by incorporating agentic AI at all levels. So $2 billion a year being spent by one company is pretty significant. I think there's going to be not many companies who are spending the same sort of money as that, but if they're managing to break even by spending $2 billion a year, that is showing some quite serious productivity gains or cost savings or optimizations or growth up to the tune of 2 billion. Apparently their AI suite, the LLM suite, recently incorporated Claude for the first time. Previously, only OpenAI models were included. JPM had a strong working relationship with OpenAI since the GPT-4 launch. So yeah, another significant data point there for sure. And here you go. If you want to read it, you can go over to Bloomberg. It says Anthropic highlighted 4.5's improvement in finance during the launch. Anthropic and OpenAI both seem to be moving forward some kind of personal investment advisor app. They just recently, I think yesterday, got announced they acquired an app called Rio. So we're moving towards a super app. So it's interesting to see the financial applications, especially if it's being used by JP Morgan and they're spending that amount of money with one company. Okay, there's a tweet here from Signal in reply to one that was sent by Anish, one of the partners at A16Z. And we're talking about the new apps within ChatGPT. The question was, what will the AI native distribution channel be? It looks like ChatGPT will be that channel with 800 million active users, the apps SDK. And Anish compared it to the Steve Jobs App Store moment, but here is a good counter take to that, which I thought would be worth reading. It says, I love Anish, so I'll respectfully disagree here. When Jobs launched the App Store, there was no general reasoning underneath the iPhone. Here, ChatGPT already has world knowledge, context, and intelligence baked in. Every long-tail app is baked into GPT, or better yet, it can simply generate it. So with this in mind, most valuable apps will just be thin wrappers around missing data. If you're Zillow, that's housing data. If you're Canva, maybe that's design templates, although OpenAI can likely make posters already. It's not really an application play, it's a data play. And given your data to OpenAI is effectively deepening their moat, since every app built here trains their system to do what you do, users stay in ChatGPT, your edge decays over time. In essence, devs are feeding OpenAI context it doesn't yet have, which then increases OpenAI's moat. The more useful their plugin, the faster their own differentiation evaporates. We'll see how this plays out, but I think, in my opinion, it's not quite yet equivalent to the App Store, even with 100x distribution. I think that is a very, very good point, because with the Apple App Store, it rarely happens where someone will create an app and then Apple will aggressively copy that app, and then they'll use all the data from that app to create their own version. I think this might happen with something like Amazon Basics too, just another slight comparison. Whereas with OpenAI, that is definitely going to be happening, I think. So if they're missing, say, like housing data, then if they have a Zillow plugin, They wrap the data with a thin application layer. Obviously, the developer is going to be using the SDK to build that, but obviously OpenAI train on everything. We know that. They train on absolutely everything. So over time, he's saying the moat that they have that they'll be bringing is going to whittle down slowly. So really good take from Signal there. Here is the chart, which we spoke about before. It's an incredible chart from the Financial Times. It says, tweet is pretty incredible just how much of the S&P 500 market cap is tied to the success of OpenAI alone. If it falls, it's a domino effect from there. And here it is. It says large tech companies are tying their fortunes to OpenAI. And then you have OpenAI at the top. You have this going down to Microsoft, which was the original investor, cloud AI integrator. Then you have Stargate connected to SoftBank. Stargate also connected to Oracle. The strategic compute partner goes to NVIDIA. Then you have the infrastructure contract and equity to NVIDIA, the data center deal down to CoreWeave, custom chip design to Broadcom. Then you have sovereign AI infrastructure to multiple government companies. So if everyone's building on top, every government is building on top of OpenAI because they haven't got their sovereign AI solutions in place yet. They also rely on OpenAI. You have the data center deal with Google, who's a hosting partner of Meta. You have a cloud AI integration partner with Amazon, who then pass it down to Anthropic with investment and hosting. And then it ends up Microsoft going back to CoreWeave as a customer of NVIDIA. And you can see all of this is kind of intertwined with OpenAI at the top being the most high leverage company in that. But obviously that is fairly risky. And then if OpenAI suffer a boo-boo of any sort, then I wonder what's going to happen, because they might not. Obviously, they're pretty embedded like an octopus. You can't rip out OpenAI now. They have probably infinite routes of capital and infinite vehicles that they could tap capital from, that now they might actually be too big to fail, and they're going to keep on raising lots and lots of cash until the end of time, basically. Not the end of time, but you know what I mean. Interesting chart. This is published in the Financial Times. The source is Citi Research and FT Research. The graphic is made by Eva Zhao. Another take on this, OpenAI has found an infinite money glitch. Oracle announces $300 billion purchase order from OpenAI. Oracle gains plus 36% on the news. Shopify and Etsy added to ChatGPT. Shop up 6%, Etsy up 16%. NVIDIA invests $100 billion into OpenAI. Then NVIDIA goes up 5%. OpenAI says it will buy 6 gigawatts worth of AMD chips for AI data centers and give the startup warrants worth 10% of AMD. And AMD goes up 23%. So there's a take here from Carlos. Infinite money glitch, or OpenAI just hacked capitalism. Bernie Madoff would like a word. I don't fully understand what's going on here. I hope this brings us closer to AGI. But for now, a lot of numbers are going up. Yeah, okay. A lot of numbers are going up. It's like a round circle of capital flowing to each of these entities in different formats and different SPVs and financial vehicles and leasing chips and GPUs and investing based off announcements and all that good stuff. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. Is it an infinite money glitch? Probably not, because I don't think there is such thing as one, but it can seem that way if you're tracking these announcements and the stock market leaps after these announcements get made public. Here is a take from Nick. I don't know what this username is. NS123ABC. Good poster. He says, be OpenAI. Hire the world's second largest insurance broker. This goes back to this insurance company that they're going to take out to fight things like copyright claims. He says, hire the world's second largest insurance broker. Say they got them coverage up to 300 million. Insiders leak, lol, it's actually way less. But all agreed the money falls far short of insuring against upcoming series of multi-billion-dollar lawsuits. The insurers, what we can't afford to pay is if an AI provider makes a mistake that ends up as a systemic, correlated, aggregated risk. OpenAI's solution, We just use investor money, lol. Investors, wait, what? OpenAI current lawsuits is this. The NYT is suing for copyright infringement. Parents suing for wrongful death after ChatGPT guided a 16-year-old how to do KHS. XAI is suing for trade secret theft. Elon Musk suing for fraud. Copyright owners launching a series of high-stakes lawsuits after Sora 2. This was basically Sora 2 is trained on the world, and I can produce all the copyrighted characters that belong to various film studios and character creators, etc. They're going to get sued for that. The insurers, we don't have enough capacity to cover AI model providers. OpenAI will be sued into oblivion, which is the FT title here. Insurers bulk and multi-billion-dollar claims faced by OpenAI, and Anthropic, and also Midjourney, are being sued too. But I don't know. Are they going to be able to raise enough money to cover any costs? Of course they are, even if it's up to the tune of multiple billions. They've got all these revenue routes that they can be able to generate. Maybe they'll wrap it up in some sort of share deal or option or leasing deal where somebody else gives them cash for it, pay it, and OpenAI gives them something back. They're going to have enough money. But yeah, it's going to be some big, hefty payouts I predict over the next few months. Okay, we're on to tools now. Every day I like to kind of cover some of the new releases and updates from some of the major companies, some startups too, who are producing and releasing good AI capabilities online. And we've got the first one here is from Google DeepMind. They are introducing the new Gemini 2.5 computer use model. Now, if you don't know what computer use is, it's basically a way that an AI can use your computer. Very simple. The way that me and you would use our laptop or use the mouse and keyboard, point and click, typing, navigation, etc. Now AI is actually getting really good at using them too. So you no longer have to use an API to connect and programmatically insert data. You can now just give an AI a task. It will spin up a browser or a virtual computer and then navigate through your app. It can log in, it can pass captures, it can use the app just through intuition, doesn't really need set instructions, or just needs basic instructions. And now Gemini 2.5 are releasing their computer use model, which is, by all accounts, very good. This is now available in preview via their API. Our computer use model is a specialized model built on Gemini 2.5 Pro. It's an excellent model, by the way. If you haven't tried it, go to AI Studio for Google. Try Gemini 2.5 Pro. It's amazing. Gemini 2.5 Pro's capabilities to power agents that can interact with user interfaces. Okay. Here is the scoop. I'll read the first bit and then we'll just nip down to exactly how it works. I think there's a video to watch down there too. Earlier this year, we mentioned that we're bringing computer use capabilities to developers via the Gemini API. Today, we're releasing the model, our specialized model built on 2.5 Pro's visual understanding and reasoning capabilities that powers agents capable of interacting with user interfaces. It outperforms leading alternatives on multiple web and mobile control benchmarks, all with lower latency. Developers can access these capabilities via the API in Google AI Studio and Vertex AI. So here's a good diagram of exactly how it works. It does this. So you give it an initial task. We don't need to read that. You can do if you want. We'll give it an initial task. It'll take a screenshot and the previous context. So if it's the first model, it won't have the previous context. It will send a request to the model. The model will take that. It will understand it, or it will receive the model response. It will get the client environment. It will execute the action inside of the app. It will capture the new state. So let's say you had a form, then it enters your first name and second name into that form. It will take another screenshot. There can be a screenshot a second, a screenshot every half second in some cases, and then it will loop it back around into the model, which will then have the context of what it's done, what it did previously, and what it can do next, and then keep on going. So if you gave it a task to navigate through a CRM, look up a contact, for instance, and then send an email to that contact, it will go through each of these steps, screenshotting, feeding that context back into itself, and actually navigating through the app. It will have a mouse, it will have a keyboard, etc. And this is basically explained here. It says after the action is executed, a new screenshot of the GUI and the current URL is sent back to the compute use model as a function response, restarting the loop. If you want to dive into this, you can look at it on the blog, but there's a video which is going to show us exactly how this works. Let me see if it hasn't got any sound, so we don't need to switch, but hopefully you can see it. So it's opened up a Google Sheet. Let me just see if I can actually read the task that it's got given here. I can't. Here's the prompt. Sorry. Let's just go back. It says, my art club brainstorm tasks of a fair. The board is, oh no, it's this one. Sorry. The top. Oh my God. Get all details for any pet with a California residency and add them as a guest in my spa CRM. Okay. Niche. Then set up a follow-up visit appointment with a specialist anima lover, with specialist anima lover on October the 10th, anytime after 8 a.m. The reason for the visit is the same as their requested treatment. So this is for a pet spa, okay? And the CRM is a Google Sheet. So on the right, you have the compute use model going through its different stages. It has its reasoning. It has the function calls on the right-hand side. And then you have the app, the Lux Pet Spa on the left with the form, and the AI with this is the new compute use model, is actually navigating through the app and performing tasks. The screenshots that are being taken, you might see the screen flashing. That's actually the model taking the screenshot and then feeding it back into itself, like we explained a minute ago. And then it can navigate through the form step by step, confirming that each function has been executed correctly as it goes to finish the task, schedules the appointment, with a new specialist, sets the time. And if you think about the use cases here, it's if you're doing stuff like this manually, repetitively every day, which there's actually a large percentage of the workforce are, kind of data input or just using a CRM to send like transactional emails or add leads, whatever it is, you can now actually hand some of that off to the compute use model. There's also another video here, which we won't watch, but it's basically reorganizing this board. So dragging and dropping. It says, my art club brainstorm tasks at our fair. The board is chaotic and I need your help organizing the tasks into some categories I created. Go to this URL and ensure the notes are clearly in the right sections. Drag them. If not, we can just show how the AI can actually drag. So it's not just point and click. Now you can do click and drag. It's thinking about where these cards can go or should go by reading them. Again, screenshots, previous context, new context, and it actually does a good job of clearing all of these up. Okay. You can read the rest of the post. Here it says benchmarks. It's basically really good. It's beating all previous models. It's very fast too. So it's accurate. It's more accurate with lower latency than other models. And then he goes on to talk about safety, etc. But yeah, congrats. That's Gemini 2.5 computer use model. This was the Twitter announcement. If you want to keep up to date with actually what's happening with Google DeepMind, go and follow Google DeepMind on X. And this is another example posted by Amar, who's also a very good follow. Again, if you want to keep up with what's happening, he leads the product and design team at Google AI Studio, and he shares some really interesting stuff. If you want to test these against each other, you can go to this post from BrowserBase. They tweeted, release a state-of-art computer model in partnership with BrowserBase. Computer use is hard to evaluate. So if you need to test them, let's say you've got a CRM where you want to release an agent to try and automate a task for you, you might want to actually test which one does the task better. You can actually do that with BrowserBase. Let me see. I think we can actually share this. It's probably worth watching this video because I think it provides some important knowledge just about how these work and how you can measure them in general. BrowserBase is a startup. They develop these automated browsers. They have one called Stagehand. They have one called TriDirector, which is all about automating stuff and work and actions inside of the browser. And they created this new...
Hi, I'm Paul, founder of BrowserBase. Today, we're excited to announce that Google DeepMind, in collaboration with BrowserBase, has achieved state-of-the-art results on Web Voyager and online Mind2Web. This is a huge step forward in computer use capabilities and unlocks even more use cases than before for AI to go do work on your behalf. We know how hard it is firsthand to evaluate computer use models. I've personally spent hours reviewing the results of each of these runs to make sure they are accurate. In the blog post below, we talk about our methodology in both evaluating the Gemini computer use model as well as other computer use models to ensure fairness. In the end, you need reliable infrastructure, a framework that gives models the same capabilities, as well as human review to make sure the results are accurate. But the most important thing to evaluate is the vibes. So today we're launching arena.browserbase.com. This will allow you to run 2 models in parallel on a task that you give it to see if it's able to do what you want to do reliably. We know that the data sets are one side, but vibe-driven evaluation is important as well. So arena.browserbase.com should be a really fun place to play around and see these 2 models go head-to-head.
Nice. So yeah, if you want to test them out and see if they can actually perform the task that you need doing for you or your business or your project, go to arena.browserbase.com. If you wanted to read into their methodology and how they train them, evaluate them, there's a blog post up on the BrowserBase website too. Yeah, it looks like...
Hi, I'm Paul.
Looks like browser use agents are actually getting very, very good, and the models are getting way better too. Okay, so if you're actually looking to build stuff in AI and you want to build applications across all platforms, you want mobile, you want web, you want Android and iOS, then look no further than Expo. If you're looking to build full React Native frameworks with all the powerful web services you expect, then use Expo. Go to expo.dev. You can get started completely for free. And some of the most powerful applications built recently run on top of Expo. So you'll be in good hands. Okay, there is a... hold on, I'm showing the wrong screen for you. A second. Here we go. Okay, this is Expo. This is everything you need to build apps. Expo is a React Native framework that powers your cloud services to help you move faster at every stage of the app cycle. Just wanted to read that while we're showing you the website. They're obviously a hopefully proud sponsor of this stream. So shout out to Expo. Go to expo.dev. Okay, next product I wanted to show you. This is from Google Labs. They often put out new experiments on their labs page. And this is the latest one called Opal. This is basically giving you the ability to build, edit, and share mini AI apps using natural language. So you don't have to build full-scale ones using Cursor or Replit. Maybe you just wanted to create a micro one. You don't need to really customize the layout, but you might want it to serve a specific use case, like a blog post writer. And you can now use Opal. This isn't available in the EU yet. Sorry for everyone in Europe. We can actually go and show what it can do. Make sure I'm showing the right screen for you. But basically lets anybody create really simple apps and share them with your friends, with your family, or even make them for your children, which I think I'll be trying as soon as it comes out in the EU. And here we go. This is Opal. You can scroll down. You can go start from scratch. We're in explore our gallery for instant inspiration. Here's some examples like a spelling bee. You can hear a word, an example sentence, and spell it. A video marketer to create video AI ads. A blog post writer, book recommendations, a business profiler. Basically, a really simple way to create powerful apps without having to get lost in creating the whole thing from scratch. This is very approachable. If you want to actually watch what you can do with it, let's just turn on the audio because I know all Google's videos are usually pretty good. And here we go. It'd be quite a good video. So that's Opal from Google. You can bring your ideas to life with Opal. It looks like it's fairly intuitive, be suitable for any kind of levels of skill, and you can actually try it today if you're in one of the approved regions, and unfortunately not in the EU. But yeah, it looks like a really good app from Google. I don't know how long these apps will last, or whether it will reach kind of production grade. I know they try these things in labs, they'll see how they land, and if they do really well, then it will come out to the masses. But yeah, it's interesting to follow Google Labs. They do roll out a number of experiments that are sometimes very good. Another product which is great is Pika. Pika is like a creative studio, lets you build things with AI. And one of the things they're really good at is video. And here is a recent post about normalizing short prompts. So basically, prompt engineering was one of those things where people get a bit scared of. You see these long prompts with these brackets and you're not really sure, like, what part do I fill in? Is my prompt good enough? Now they're saying with this, the models are good enough to now we can start to normalize short prompts. Okay, say hello to the latest innovation, our 2-month-old social video creation app, Predictive Video. Type a quick thought and Pika fills in the rest, from script to soundtrack to lighting to action and more, because literally no one loves crafting essay-length prompts. Some people do, I guess. But yeah, Pika are trying to normalize short prompts. Let's make sure we get the sound. And this is the post from Pika.
Game so tight, every move is perfected. Mirror on the wall says I'm the elected queen.
Today, we're launching something that we all desire on a deep human level.
I love it when you kiss.
Another snowy day.
Can I take your order? 이게 사랑인가 봐요.
Pretty good. Really good, actually.
Okay, settle down. So, the cat. It's just the way it looks at me.
What a whiny little bitch.
Predictive video? Like, what even is that?
Great video. The standard of product videos is going up and up and up. That is Pika. If you want to try it yourself, you can do it now over at Pika Labs. The website is through the app, actually. You have to download the app in the App Store, search up Pika Labs, and you'll be able to get it. But yeah, shout out to them. That is a pretty awesome launch video. Looks like you're going to be able to do some crazy stuff with Pika. Okay. In the essence of AI-powered video, XAI actually just released their new version of Imagen, the new video generation model with massive upgrades from V0.1 in visual quality, motion, audio generation, and more, now available for free on all of our products. Has this one got sound too? Let me just check. It does. Let's play this, because why the devil not? Here we go.
And then give your videos a voice.
Okay, that's the Imagen new video model from Grok, still 0.9. A few upgrades from 0.1. It's available to everybody for free. Interesting to compare models side by side too, because obviously there is different nuances between each one. But people who've been working on video for a lot longer are maybe a bit ahead. But then XAI are catching up very, very quickly indeed, it looks like. Okay, next, Lindy. This is, if you've been following the agent argument, this is Lindy. Lindy is basically an agent building platform which lets you build agents, obviously, or digital employees that can perform tasks for you. And they're actually probably, I think, almost best in class for building agent. I'd probably say they are best in class for building agents that can actually execute real work that is approachable for most people. So if you can point and click, if you know what apps need to do what, so maybe wait for an email, categorize it, reply in a certain way, and you can do a simple thing like explain that in natural language. Lindy will build you the agent, then it can actually do work for you. So it's very approachable and an easy to use app. It's probably one of my top 3 apps, I think, to use. They said this. This is in response to, I think, OpenAI's new workflow agent builder, which was fairly clunky. I think it was actually built in a relatively short space of time. But they say in response, they have an interesting take. Let me just make sure I'm resharing the screen with you. Stop sharing. I don't know why it keeps on knocking off. Here we go. Here's Lindy's take. Not going to lie, the if this then that era of automation feels ancient now. We're moving into a tell your AI what you want, go and get a coffee. Simple. So Lindy have an agent builder on the side of their app where rather than manually adding and dragging and dropping and pointing and clicking and setting a really robust workflow, you can actually just talk to it in natural language and it will build the agent for you. So I think this is what they're saying. What you should be able to do is just tell it what you want and it build it, and then it will just go and do it. Similar to what Sama said with Rowan in the recent interview, where you just need to give it a message and it would just go off and do that work for you. So this is where we're at. I think Get Lindy, you should try it. You can go to lindy.ai. It's an absolutely epic tool, and I think you will love it. Okay, a couple of leaks or upcoming releases, and this is featured from Testing Catalog. Also, great follow on X. If you don't, testingcatalog.com. They post all the latest upcoming AI releases. And this says, XAI readies Grok tools support in tasks for data fetching. XAI prepares Grok web tools to pull data from Gmail, Slack, Notion, and X search while providing ticker stock reports or ticker stock updates and unified insights. So if you use Grok, go to grok.com. What you can actually do is set up tasks. So in this screen here, you can see, let me just scroll, here we go, zoom in. This, you can set a recurring tasks, which has access to X data or Twitter data, if you're still calling it that. And you can set it once, daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, at a specific time, give it some instructions and set how you're notified. So in this case, it says, give me the latest updates on Tesla, BTC, NVIDIA, Palantir, and ETH, including current prices, recent changes and projections, analyze sentiment, market indications, and possible reasons for movements, organize information to be easily digestible and readable. And now we have tools coming. So not only can it go off and get the information that it can find, it can actually interact with tools and launch or use tools in conjunction with that task. Here's the rest of the story. XAI is gearing up to launch advanced tooling for tasks within Grok Web, as signaled by a newly added label near the tools section. The tools themselves, first spotted in earlier updates, appear to be designed to enable users to pull data from sources such as Gmail, Slack, and Notion, while also drawing on expanded search capabilities from X. Notably, there's evidence that tasks are now able to access financial data from X. Its introduction of tools like to broaden this functionality, allowing tasks to synthesize and summarize information across a variety of platforms, making it easier for professionals, analysts, and researchers to gather multi-source insights without switching between apps. And then you can see here, there's some first tools coming, which are Slack, read-only, X Extra, Google Calendar, Gmail, and Notion. Going to be adding more soon, but basically Grok can then go and interact with all those tools for you, which is good, I think. If you've used something like Manus or a super agent like GenSpark, for instance, or even Claude with connectors or ChatGPT to some extent, you can plug the different apps that you use into it, and then it can take actions on your behalf based on what you ask it. Okay, next one. Anthropic prepares Claude Code for release. Prepares Claude Code release for mobile apps. Anthropic prepares a code section on web and mobile with GitHub integration, repository browsing, and Claude Code tasks tailored to developers. So it's moving towards broadening its product suite by preparing a release of new code sections across web and mobile. This addition appears to allow users to connect their GitHub directly within Claude, browse repos, and access cloud-based development environments. So not only can you use Claude Code in the terminal, if you've seen it, you can now use it on the web and inside of the mobile app. So you can now, maybe you have a code repo for a project, for instance, and you wanted to update a blog or write a new blog on something. And then if you push it live to GitHub, it will go live on your website. Now, what you can do is through Claude, through the app, you can connect that repo, or soon, you'll be able to connect that repo. You can then go and take an action within GitHub for you, which is great. The functionality aimed at power users and developers. Yeah, it's not for everybody. It's going to be for power users and devs who value the ability to initiate coding sessions, dictate prompts, and later receive code suggestions or pull requests. That can be merged back into their repos. With Anthropic's latest Claude Sonnet 4.5 model showing strong coding performance and benchmarks, yeah, this means that managing large code bases on the go will be okay. Yeah, that's it. That's going to be coming soon to your apps. If you use Claude Code in the terminal, which is a great model, you're now going to be able to get it inside of your mobile app coming very soon. Okay, funding rounds from October the 7th is posted yesterday from the Chief AI Office, a really good follow, chiefaioffice.xyz. Here is some recent funding rounds and a spending report from A16Z2, but here are the main ones that are worth paying attention to. Heidi Health raised 65 million as Series B. They're an AI medical scribe to automate clinical documentation. The platform functions as an embedded automation layer across the clinical care loop, supporting multilingual transcription in 110 languages, applying real-time speech to text with medical entity recognition. It generates structured SOAP format notes and automates administrative tasks through a combination of prompt chaining, task orchestration, and domain-specific LLM. That is 65 million for Heidi Health. Hip Health, which is an operating system for behavioral health practices, raised 6.2 million in a seed. This is the only AI native platform that runs the entire practice for you. Okay, bold claim. Trig raised 6 million in a seed round from the lead investor 20 VC. Trig is an AI agent platform for account management that converts fragmented customer and product usage signals into revenue-linked actions. Bit of a mouthful, but apparently the agent detects churn risk and expansion signals in real time, tailors the account plans, and executes those plans autonomously across the tools, teams already in use, such as CRMs, messaging platforms, and ticketing systems. So that is the main ones. Obviously, we've got some more here. Dual Entry raising a 90 million Series A. Filigran raises 58 million Series C. Peak Archive Supermemory raises 3 million Series A. Supermemory is really interesting, actually. Provides a universal memory layer to LLM apps. So basically, if you talk to ChatGPT, it knows some stuff about you. If you talk to Claude, it knows some stuff about you. But if you use a tool like Supermemory, it unifies that all together. So no matter what you're using, what platform you're using, you actually bring your memories with you. So everything gives you the right tailored and context-aware responses. Story of the day goes to Retool. Now, there's been a lot of discussion online recently about enterprise-grade agent software. And now Retool are historically the internal application low-code solution for the enterprise. Now they're getting in to the not vibe coding game, because that doesn't really happen too much in the enterprise, but basically text to app game. Here is what they say. It says, build me a manufacturing dashboard that monitors throughput by production line using my PostSQL data, PostgreSQL data. Start building. And this is basically going to let you generate internal software better with AI. So this software that you use Retool for, it's not external facing. It's not going to be for the general public. It's going to be for your team, enterprise grade teams of hundreds, thousands, 10,000 users internally to your company. You can have access to all your data. And you might want to create an interface to allow your employees to do stuff easier. And that's what Retool do. And this is them getting into the text to app game. So this introduces enterprise app gen software that starts with a sentence and ends in production. They introduced this at the Retool Summit in San Francisco. They announced the world's first enterprise application generation app gen platform. Now anyone can build applications with natural language. And for the first time, you can do this on your data, Postgres, Databricks, etc. In your cloud. You can host Retool anywhere. It's just a Docker image and with security built in from day one. E.g., every button clicked in every Retool app is audited and saved. Again, there is other tools that do this, but Retool have been around for a long time. They've got everything in place to be robust at the enterprise level, which big customers and clients expect. They go on to explain exactly what it can do and the security protocols and the flexibility they have. But here is a video that I think we should just watch to cap it off so everyone can get a context of what a proper AI grade solution in the text app space actually looks like. And we get this sound on because I think there is actually an explainer here too, which we can listen to.
We've seen that AI tools can turn natural language into a functional user interface, but there's a big gap between that and building enterprise apps that are connected to your data, running in production, and built securely. That's why we've built the industry's first enterprise app gen platform. Let me show you what that looks like. Let's say I want to build a tool to triage failed shipments. I start by describing what I need in natural language, the ability to filter failed deliveries, assign owners, write updates, and sync changes back to my shipment database. Just like how you might pull a coworker into a conversation, you could specifically app mention their database in your prompt. If I want to be more specific about which resources my app needs access to, I can specify those ahead of time as well. Instead of jumping straight into building, Retool looks at my existing data and starts to build out a plan. Since all of this planning is in Retool itself, it can take into context any of the resources where my business data lives, inspect the schema of each of those sources, and build a plan to integrate this data into my application, safely and securely. After I approve this plan, you'll see components start to appear on the canvas in real time, queries being written and configured, and be able to see exactly what's happening as the pieces of my app are connected together according to the plan. And this is where Retool continues to shine. Instead of having to reprompt for each individual change or update, we can drag the components around, update them using the inspector, or even edit the code inside of our generated queries manually. After a couple minutes, we have our app. It's not a mock-up or a skeleton of what we asked for, it's a fully working app. The filters work, the forms write data back to our data source, and the layout gives users exactly what they need. Once all of our changes are in, our app is ready to publish, and it really is as easy as clicking the publish button. Because our app is built in Retool, I don't need to think about wiring up authentication, setting up role-based access, or figuring out where to store our logs. All of that is handled for me thanks to the governance features of the Retool platform. When I hit publish, I'm not just releasing a prototype, I'm shipping something that's custom built and ready to use. But building new apps is just half the story. Most development time is spent maintaining existing software by adding new features and adapting to new requirements. Oftentimes, that means jumping into the deep end with an app that you didn't build and having to understand how it works. Let's say we've been tasked with making edits to our quarterly access review tool. Managers use this app to see which employees have access to which systems and either approve or revoke that access. There's a lot going on here, but we can ask for an explanation of how a certain component works or where the data in a particular portion of our app is coming from. This is a super helpful way to get the lay of the land before we jump in and start making changes. Once we better understand the app we're editing, let's say we need to update one of the underlying queries. Retool interprets the request, shows me exactly what it's planning to change, and gives me the ability to review and approve the updated query. Only then do the changes go live, with no surprises and no AI overreach. Every change is versioned, so I can experiment without being afraid of losing any work, and I can roll back anytime I need to. This massive shift in software creation is happening right now, and you can ride that wave with apps that are built on your data, deployed in your cloud, and secure by default using Retool's Enterprise App Gen platform. Everything you've seen here is now available in our public beta, so head over to retool.com or look for the assist icon in your app editor to get started. We can't wait to see what you build.
Okay, so that's pretty much the difference between building a vibe coded app inside of like Lovable or Bolt, etc., or name them. Obviously, they're targeting completely different markets, have completely different functionality, but Retool has been around for a long time, and you can see the granularity that you can get with Retool and how enterprisey or enterprise grade they are. You can build all these custom interfaces easily. Now you can do them with natural language inside of Retool, and that is it for today. That was the last story. Thank you for tuning in, and see you at the same time tomorrow. Catch you next one.